Welcome to the MIT at Innovation Program podcast. This is a repository of insights by thought leaders and practitioners of innovation where they speak about their views, insights, and experiences. Come join us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Driving Innovation, the Butterfly Effect. I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker and innovator, Mr. Shekhar. Shekhar is a founding director of Lokus Design, a leading strategy and design company. He brings more than 17 years of diverse experience in strategic design, innovation, and design research. Understanding how design drives systemic results has been his passion since graduating from NID. He is a tool designer and industrial designer by training, and a system designer, simplifier, biker, and cook by passion. He loves to combine and mix a bit of chemistry, thermodynamics, and physics with Indian philosophies and design thinking to solve complex, systemic, and brand challenges. Shekhar is also jury at the prestigious India Design Mark by Government of India. He is a member of CII's National Committee on Design and CII's Committee on Design Interventions in Smart City, and also a member of Board of Studies, MIT Institute of Design. He has been invited to speak on a variety of topics such as business design, brand strategy and strategic innovation, design thinking, innovation management, and communication design. Being passionate about grooming the next generation of design and communication professionals, he guest lectures at premier design and management institutes across the country. Shekhar is in the pursuit of reducing entropy, the level of disturbance, chaos, and complexity at systemic, organizational, brand, and individual levels. Systems, organizations, brands, and individuals expend and waste most of their energy, that is time, money, effort, and potential, in battling entropy, hyper-competing or overcoming anxieties and fears. Shekhar strongly believes that only if such entropy is reduced can they have any energy left to create substantial value for larger good. And so he helps them to distance themselves from entropy, discover their positive valence, steer towards the subject before its object, identify fundamental human needs, create enduring relationships, and inspire positive action. So before we proceed to listen to Shekhar, I have a few updates to share about the session and the MIT ID Innovation Program webinar platform. For those who are joining us for the first time today, I'd like to inform you that MIT stands for the 4-decade-old Maharashtra Institute of Technology. ID stands for MIT's 15-year-old Pioneering Institute of Design. MIT ID's one-year innovation program focuses on the 4 pillars of design, business, technology, and humanities. The key features and differentiators of this one-year course are immersions, project-based learning, and humanities. So on behalf of Professor Harshit Desai, head of the innovation program, and the core team, we are grateful to be amongst you all hosting the session today. Today's webinar will have our guest speaker share his insights for the first half hour, followed by questions facilitated by Professor Harshit Desai in the latter half hour. Please do read the chat for other important pointers that have been shared. This is our 18th industry interaction this season, and I, Priya Dhawan, Head of Collaborations, Branding and Outreach for the MIT ID Innovation Program, welcome you all once again to this thoughtfully curated innovation journey. So over to you, Shekhar. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Priya, for all the kind words and a very long introduction, though I don't intend to introduce myself. So nonetheless, thank you so much. Thanks, Harshit, and thanks, MIT ID, for inviting me on this amazing platform that you guys have started. I've been seeing what you guys are doing, so quite pleased to be here. So I have a couple of slides, to be precise, 12, 13 odd slides that I would like you guys to be taken through. And then I would love a more interaction-based engagement, question answers or discussion. Either ways is fine. These slides are put together. This is not our work, but this is the direction that we as a company, I as an individual are heading towards. And we feel that these are the things that one should look at in the current times and for the future. Now, current times, I don't mean current times by COVID-19 pandemic situation, but current times, we know that for a couple of years we've been facing a lot of crisis, and these crises are not only economic but ecological and otherwise. There's also a crisis and a great need for new age thinking, newer paradigms to be set. We need to really challenge the status quo. We need to start thinking is uh, an outlook this presentation has. And this is to provoke, to inspire all of us, all of you, to user-centered to harmony-centered design. We're going to look at object-to-subject relationships. We're going to look at why function should follow purpose, and from correction to creation, and a wonderful possibility of can collapse, disaster, or any sort of negative thing can be looked at in terms of positive possibilities. Can design intervene? I'm going to also speak about briefly about how memories, archetypes, and dogmas restrict us. And the last one, and the most exciting one, is the expectation, uh, creating adjacent possibilities. So these are the topics that we're discussing. But feel free to have questions towards the end. And of course, Harshit will have few pointers that I would love to hear and discuss. So what's a butterfly effect? Very simply, straight out of Wikipedia, if you look up, butterfly effect is very, very sensitive dependence on the initial conditions, in which a very small change will result into a very, very large difference. And why butterfly effect is because I feel at we always say कि मैं छोटा सा आदमी मैं क्या कर लूँगा. I think that छोटा सा आदमी छोटा सा effort, छोटा सा move forward towards positivity, towards future is good enough to start a reaction, a chain reaction, a butterfly effect, and hence it is extremely apt. And I feel designers have the skills, have the power to persuade people, to convince people, to design things, to create change, and change not only in people's behavior but at a systemic level, how much ever small it is. And it could start with absolutely small things in our personal lives or in the process that we follow. So this is the butterfly effect, and I feel we should not say that what will I do. I think everybody can contribute whichever ways. We've been given an ability to think, comprehend, synthesize. I think we should use this ability to create a better future. So this is the premise for butterfly effect. On the right hand side, of course, if you Google, you'll understand what is a Lorentz attractor. A butterfly flapping its wings creates chaotic patterns, and eventually you could also see that in our weather patterns to complex mathematics. So all of this is part of the chaos theory. Please look up; it is fantastic to read. You don't need to be a mathematician to read about this, but it can have a lot of parallel ideas that can start in your head. I came across something very fantastic recently, and it is called the anemoia. Now, what is anemoia? Anemoia is a nostalgia for future. Now, this is counterintuitive. What is nostalgia? Nostalgia is typically for the past, for things that have not or happened and not happened now. And I was reading about what could it be for future, and I hit upon this word. And this word has tremendous power. Nostalgia for a time or future we have not known. And this gives us a possibility of designing, defining the future. And this word, if turned around, could create nostalgia for future. Most of us are looking forward to the future. We don't have any agenda. We don't have any plans. We don't have any vision for the future. What we're doing is trying to survive, trying to enjoy today, and that's about it. We don't have any forecast. We don't have any plans in terms of what could it be for the future. And this word is extremely critical now onwards, that we should have a future looking, forward looking path. And basis this, I had proposed a word called posibarium. Posibarium is an antonym, or rather an opposite of desiderium. Desiderium is a desire or longing for especially something that has been lost. Why should we look at nostalgia? Why should we look at desiderium? Why can't we create something that we are ardently desiring or longing, especially joyous feelings for the future? Can't we design the future? Can't we propose a future? Can't we propose feelings that could be part of this possidarium? And this possidarium is something that we all of us look forward to. Tomorrow we wake up and say that, oh wow, this is what I have to create for tomorrow. And this is what I will work towards tomorrow. And this has been my observation that most designers, most people across project designers uh, do not have an agenda for tomorrow or the future. And that's the reason why we are continuously fighting for odds, troubleshooting, firefighting, all of this stuff is happening. So positarium is a word that gives me a lot of hope. It gives me a lot of possibility. It gives me a direction to look forward to. Let's imagine a future uh, which is a state, emotional state that we create. And this creation is essentially something that we look forward to. If we can have these kinds of scenarios, maps, or possibilities put forward in front of us, I think a designer's mind will always look for creating something wonderful for tomorrow rather than worrying and trying to troubleshoot today. I'm not saying that we should not troubleshoot what is a problem today, but alongside we should have this future potential possibility. And there's a wonderful phrase called present tense and future perfect. So present tense, yes, of course, we need to deal with it, but we should look at future perfect. Let's design for nostalgia rather than nostalgia. Nostalgia is a nostalgia of future. And let's not worry, sulk, and talk about war stories about the lost yesterday. Let's look at a beautiful tomorrow, a positive tomorrow. Let's design for nostalgia. And this will create humongous possibilities, tremendous opportunities for designers and likewise any thinking mind to create something that is amazing and something that we look forward to. But what happens essentially is while we are doing all this, why of course the future is something that everybody is excited about, but we are stuck. We are in a rat race, in a rut, or we are circling around. The reason essentially is this lot of entropy. Entropy is essentially a level of disturbance, chaos around us, within us. The way magnets attract ion filings or particles, we also have inherent magnetism. All of us, all individuals, all designers, or otherwise every individual, every person has this magnetism. And this magnetism is stuck, or it is reduced, or it is clouded because of entropy. This entropy is first foremost within us and something that is external also. If we do not get rid of this entropy, our magnetism is bound to lose its effect or reduce its effect. If this magnetism goes down, I think the energy is lost. As an individual, I don't look forward to doing anything if this magnetism is not understood, felt, or it is reduced. So let's understand how this entropy could be reduced, why this entropy affects us. And this is the way a simple magnetic or a magnet is an example that makes us understand. Then there is something called as positive valence. I'm not going to go into too much detail because the rest of the slides is something that is super exciting. Like the Himalayan musk deer, there's a beautiful story in Indian, it's not mythology, but it is a reality that the Himalayan musk deer tires itself out, running, trying to find where is this musk fragrance coming from, where is the source. And this fellow does not understand. Eventually he jumps off the cliff and dies, not knowing in the struggle of finding where is the smell originating from. And this smell actually is originating from its own nerve. So this is a great example to say that let's look within us rather than benchmarking outside, rather than looking at external phenomena. Let's first understand what is it that I have which I should not compare No comparison, no benchmarking, no competition. We don't need all this. What we need is to understand what am I good at, what I'm really inherently good at. And this is something that if we hit upon, I think the story will be different from the Himalayan must deer. And this is where most of us struggle with our own potential because we always compare. In my childhood, probably I was told that uh, your sister is good at this and your brother is good at this, and he or she is good at geography, math, science, sports, art, everything possible. But nobody told me what was I good at. And probably these 30, 40 years, all this time, all this effort has gone into things that I probably would not have, uh, it does not really work on my potential. And all of this effort is gone, probably waste. Or it adds to your, and it's a fair way to say that, of course, it's added to my experience. But had I known this, had I understood this, or somebody would have told me this, I think I would have been in a far better position. Of course, forget all the comparison and all the problems that comparisons result into, and we've seen many cases going wrong. So this is a story of a Himalayan master. So I urge that you please do not compare yourself or get into this mode of external factors gratifying, verifying, or vilifying you. So please do not get into that. Identify your positive values. That's your core, intrinsic, inherent, authentic, positive stuff that you have within you. And once you know this, a lot of entropy goes down. And once your entropy goes down, only then, or disturbance goes down, only then you will have energy to think, energy to create, energy to look at the future. Otherwise, we are struggling. We're struggling with ourselves and we're struggling with external factors. So the first topic that I would like to quickly discuss is uh, from user-centered design to harmony-centered design. Now, harmony could be absolutely anything. Harmony with yourself, harmony with nature, harmony with others, harmony with nations, harmony with societies, culture, religion. It could be anything. Harmony is just a large word that I've used. But what I propose here is, rather than user-centered, we should look at a much holistic, much larger picture or a phenomena called harmony, and harmony with so many things. This shift is very, very critical because this user has been very greedy, selfish, and he's been hogging all the resources, everything possible from the world. Uh, so user-centered to harmony-centered, and what I meant by harmony, I mean ecology, environment, people, religion, caste, doesn't matter. Harmony has to with is what I meant by harmony. Now, this user-centered design has to shift. This paradigm has to be broken and moved into a harmony-centered design. And the reason why it is because this user has been very greedy, selfish, sitting right in the center and hogging away all the possible things, including resources and materials. So this shift from self-centered approach to a larger, holistic, harmony-centered approach is far more critical now, and this essentially will open up tremendous possibilities, a lot of intervention opportunities. If you start looking at harmonizing with yourself or your surrounding, there are so many design possibilities. And rather than user-centered design, how much would we work on user-centered design? We've worked as designers for the last 60, 70 years on user-centered design. And now is the time that we should look at harmony with so many things. And this will open up phenomenal possibilities. So this is point number one. This is point number two, and this is my favorite example of a ceiling fan, from object-oriented design to subject-oriented design. And subject is not a person. Subject is in Hindi or Marathi to be Vishay. Correct? So विषय क्या है in Marathi. So subject क्या है? So what is the subject of a fan? Object, we know. If you give a briefing to a designer, uh, especially a product designer, they'll end up designing a good-looking fan, a better sweeping fan. But essentially, what is the subject of a fan? The subject of a fan is not to throw air at you or reduce the room temperature, but it is about reducing my core body temperature. If we start looking at subjects rather than objects, there will be again phenomenal possibility, amazing responses, amazing approaches towards design. So I urge that this is another big shift that has to happen from an object-oriented phenomena to a subject-oriented phenomena. And the next time if you're designing a pen, you should ask, are you designing merely an object, which is a pen, or are you designing a communication tool? The moment you say communication tool, you have a lot of things opening up. The paradigm shifts, and you could probably design a pen which is totally different from an object that you already know, something that is far more critical. So if you combine harmony-centered design with subject, it marries so well. And once this marriage happens, this bond happens, this coupling happens, I think we will have great possibilities out of design. Otherwise, we'll be designing fans after fans after fans. So if you just Google ceiling fan, you will have 1 million pages coming up about ceiling fans, and you will have probably 20,000 aesthetically or materially different designs. But fundamentally, nobody's questioning. So subject-oriented design will give us this fundamental questioning ability of why. Why do you need a fan? Rather than asking what kind of fan do you want. So it starts with the premise that fan is needed, or this kind of ceiling fan is needed. Of course, ceiling fan doesn't work because very basic physics. The warm air will rise, and that warm air is thrown at you by the fan. There's only a feeling of air that you feel comfortable with. Your body core temperature does not reduce. And there could be several possibilities, approaches to reduce body core temperature. So this will again give us a lot of possibility. Another big one is, rather than form follows function, we should look at function follows purpose. Function and form are intrinsic to purpose, but it's not the other way around. A very simple example, a mom cooks a thali for you, for her kid, and a restaurant also makes a thali. But the difference in purpose of mom cooking is to probably nourish, or to celebrate, or to enjoy. But the restaurant is looking at probably loyalty. They're looking at money. They're not looking at nourishing you. They're not looking at essentially probably celebrating with you, probably enjoying with you. They're only looking at loyalty. This is a big difference between functionality. Both of them are cooking food which is functionally giving you carbs, proteins, fats, and whatnots. But the difference starts when you start defining the purpose. And purpose again will open up phenomenal possibilities, newer paradigms, newer objectives to look at the same thing. We don't need more products after products after products. I'm not saying product designers, but I'm saying generically products. It could be anything. Concern or problem that most designers end up correcting, tinkering. And this is a change that I also look forward to. And most clients nowadays are started asking about the creation side rather than correction side. अरे हाँ इसमें थोड़ा सा improvement करके दे दो से. Rather, people are coming up and saying that what could it be? What should it be? And these are the kinds of questions that I've started. So again, from correction to creation will give us a lot of possibilities. Let's connect newer dots. All these ideas are not only design ideas or design paradigms that I'm talking about. All these paradigms create newer possibilities for economic benefit. It also creates profit. It also makes a lot of business sense. So it is not only philosophical thinking. All of this will open up newer doors, which we've never opened, or we have never seen at these doors. So this is a great phenomenon. This is something that I'm super excited about, and the newer research in the world that is happening is self-healing materials. And this is something which will be an amazing tool in the designer's bank, saying that if I could design a chair, if it breaks or if it cracks, it will heal itself so that I don't have to throw the chair away. Unfortunately, this throwaway culture has created so much problem. Because it is broken, I need to throw it away. Why can't it break down into smaller components? So just imagine that a table breaks down into two small stools, or if it can be broken down into two stools once its life is over. Can a building, if it falls, the material can be reutilized? So this is the way one should look at collapse or entropy or disturbance or chaos. Can we use this to our advantage? And design for resilience. We should build resilience into design by smarter materials, self-healing materials, to conceptual. So a Lego block is an amazing example of possibility. You don't throw away a Lego block. It serves you for lifetime. And this lifetime is very important. So it, we essentially evolve with the material or the object, which is a Lego block. So can we look at possibilities using such kind of phenomena? This is another thing. You, on the right hand side image, you get to see so many chairs. If you ask anybody to design a chair or draw a chair, we'll end up having 4 legs, a back, and a seat. And this is a problem of definitions, archetypes, and they're a massive hindrance to innovation, because your memory is clouded, your memory is full of all known things. It is like throwing a ball and trying to throw it away, but you're confined within 4 walls. We need to break these walls down. If we want to innovate, we want to create newer business possibilities or newer possibilities for humanity, if one wants to take it to that level. So let's break these archetypes down. Let's break these definitions and our own memory. Once we are set free out of this, we will be imagining something new. And the world and the future, the posibarium, needs newer thinking. Last one, and super exciting one, expectation. So expectation is essentially a phenomena where one set thing, like let's say feather of a bird, gets hijacked for a very different purpose. It is not purely evolution in the present. You can sit on many things. You sit on a wood log and you're perfectly comfortable. Now then the question arises, oh, I have to sit on a chair for 8 hours, 12 hours because I'm working. But it is not, your body is not designed to sit in and create a sedentary body, and we know what happens. So we need to start questioning. It is called thin slicing in our language at our office. We need to thin slice. We need to ask this question saying that why do you need to sit for 8 hours? Why can't we design working? Why can't we design other things? So then it starts becoming a holistic system rather than trying to make the chair so comfortable that you can sit for 24 hours and ruin your body. So this is one approach that if you start with subject, you will probably be able to design so many other things which may be called chair in the future. Currently, it may not be called. It may not have legs. It may not have revolving this, that. But these are the kinds of things that we had explored for one of our clients, Johnson & Johnson. And we had proposed to them saying that how diabetes cannot be managed only by giving pills or devices. We need to look at diabetes and where it is and why is it occurring. And let's look at all of this and then create possibilities, not only for products, but for services, but for communication and so many things. And then you will be able to holistically look at this and create opportunities. So Johnson & Johnson had come to us for one project. We gave them at least 7 or 8 possibilities for business and of course eventually profits, but business directions. So you could look at a chair that way. So you could look at various ways. I've given 8-10 of them, and then you could come up with something absolutely different. It also breaks the archetype. It also breaks the memory model that we have for a chair. So when there were no chairs, what was it? And people were not sitting, and people were not comfortable. Of course they were comfortable. Of course they were sitting. Bharatiya Baitak used to be an amazing concept. Now we can't sit in a Padmasana or a squatted position. This is the problem we have created because of chairs and WC components. So this is how it affects us. One of your student has done a fantastic product, Satyajit, for an Indian toilet.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. Next question is that from user-centered design to harmony-centered design, how does it impact the design process? Somashri Basak would like to know.
Sure. So, see, the design process remains more or less similar, but the approach changes. You probably would need to see how uh, each one of them affects the other. So if you design one thing, it will affect probably the materials. You do something else, it will affect probably environment or disposal of that product. And once you start looking at all this, probably you will have either multiple possibilities for design or multiple approaches towards the same object that you are set out to design or a service that you've set out to design. And that's how uh, harmony centered will change. Example, uh, again, the ceiling fan. The ceiling fan is not harmonious to our body. Our body in the daytime is warmer compared to the nighttime. 4 o'clock, that is 4 a.m. in the morning, your body releases certain hormones.
Mhm.
And your fan does not understand that the temperature has gone down. Now reduce the speed on your own and let the body secrete this hormone. Otherwise, the body eventually, over a period of time, will start malfunctioning. This the fan doesn't understand because the designer has not put in research to understand all this. So once you ask this fundamental question, what should it be harmonious with? When is the body in harmony? If you ask this question to a fan, you will open up so many possibilities. And that's how the process initially would change. Eventually, of course, will remain more or less similar.
Fantastic. Great. So, how has the current pandemic changed your view of entropy, and how does it change the design process from here on? Piyush Tiwari would like to know.
Uh, in fact, this pandemic has aggravated or made it even more critical, clear, and immediate for all of us to think. Of course, I've been thinking about this for the last 6, 7 years. I've been doing my own personal research, trying to understand how and where is this heading towards, why we are not able to break through. So this presentation of 7 slides or whatever, 12 slides has taken me close to 7 years to come to this and to put it so simply or to accept it for that matter. So the design process definitely will start differently now. It definitely will look at multiple things. It will give many possibilities to a client or to a whatever a manufacturer or a brand that you could also and you should also look at these possibilities. This approach will give you far better results in the long term. It will be far more harmonious. So the design process in bits will change. It will not dramatically undergo change. It will definitely have a start which will be way different from traditional design process start. So this is my understanding and observation. So of course, all this is work in progress for all of us. All of us need to evolve our own methods, collaborate, co-create with each other, and then design this beautiful future that all of us look forward to.
Sure. Thank you. So I think we're back to the chair again. Sharan Pillai would like to know, in the chair example, the four-legged design is so iconic and functional that majority of the product designers didn't feel the need to innovate out-of-the-box solutions.
Correct.
What can be the trigger for thinking out-of-the-box solutions in such scenarios? And how do we convince businesses to invest into such innovation? So I think maybe we can break it up into pieces and
I think
then,
it's a wonderful question.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
one answer is that don't design a chair. You've already done 1 million chair types. 200 of them are classic furnitures, which everybody loves. Then why do you need one more? This is one approach, of course. And this is a very bold approach. But on the other side, you could also tell this bold approach to your client saying that what are you going to do? You're going to make another chair which will have 4 legs and a back and a seat. And then you will add materials and spend humongous amount of money on advertising and marketing and brand building to sell your chair. So I call this as a client or a brand on perpetual treadmill. The moment your energy is exhausted, your money is over, the guy has to be off the treadmill. He has to run otherwise to sustain or get off the treadmill. So the choice is his. But I will ask him to get off the treadmill, at least to think, ponder, question, saying that और एक chair बना लूँगा तो क्या होने वाला है, and it is going to be this similar chair. So I'm going to spend humongous amount of money to push this chair into people's homes, which actually does not make any difference. So what's the point? So this is how one could look at talking to the clients, and then you have to also show him the amount of money he's going to burn advertising and marketing and brand building and communicating, rather than invest that amount of money to create a different paradigm. Look at different possibilities, or do not get into a chairs business. Do something else. Educate people to look at different work styles, and probably that is how innovation might happen. Now, not necessarily always innovation has to be radical and groundbreaking. Innovations could be very small, very well articulated, and they could be something that could again create a butterfly effect eventually. We need to give them ideas in phases. We should not push the client because he will have his own liabilities to get off the treadmill. Let him slowly get off the treadmill. Let him reduce the angle and the speed of a treadmill. He will get off the treadmill. And probably one day, with you working continuously, we'll do something like this.
Sure.
The chair is a very popular image. Yeah, I know.
Fantastic example shared.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next question is unlearning to relearning. How can we break it down? And what should be the initial step to the design process?
Unlearning to learning.
Unlearning to relearning.
Relearning. Okay. I think the first step, there's no one concrete answer to this, but what I feel is that to unlearn, we need to stop first. We need to pause. We need to reflect. We need to question. We need to read horizontally. Don't read deep. Read horizontally. You need to connect a lot of dots being a designer. Your job is to synthesize, not analyze only. So for synthesis, one needs a lot of horizontal reading and research. So that's probably one of the ways you could start.
Okay, thank you. Next question by Uttam Hazabnis. He wants to know that your perspective on design education currently in India and how to embed this butterfly effect effectively in learning.
I think it will require 2 weeks of sitting together and discussing with Uttam. So Uttam, you're welcome. But there are quite a few things I feel when I was part of the Board of Studies discussion a couple of months back, I think MIT has already initiated a lot of interesting pedagogies or methods and courses and curriculum. So I feel this is, of course, one of the ways in terms of looking at what is that is needed. I feel we don't need design per se. We need people who can connect many things. And that probably is the role of a designer in the future. So we need to look at these kinds of things very critically and not produce future bunch of designers who are based again on an archetype of older schools or older methodologies or older approaches, erstwhile phenomena. We should look at newer, and this will require a lot of critical inquiry. I don't know how many institutions, educational institutions in particular, are ready for such kind of an inquiry. We are happy to sit with institutions and discuss and create possibilities and scenarios, create speculative futures for them. How does the future look like, and what is the role that a designer has to play in the future? I had recently.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for very interesting. It is always very wonderful to keep revisiting these thoughts which you have been mulling over, and fortunately, I am also part of discussion sometimes. Again, I think the design education wala question has been asked, but generally forget the design education part. Generally, what should be the approach of learning today's time? Given all these changes, given this paradigms that are evolving, how should somebody generally approach learning as a part of their life?
I feel repurposing or defining the purpose, how much ever small that purpose is, how much ever vast or big or deep and critical the purpose that you could define. I think this definition is very, very critical. Once you define this, it just triggers a chain reaction. It triggers a butterfly effect. I think most of us shy away from writing this down. The purpose in terms of what are you wanting to achieve for others, not for yourself. Automatically, it will happen for you. But if purpose is written for others, it has a far better, far wider impact. And once this is written, one liner, one word, I think learning process starts. Newer definitions come into play, newer processes come into play, newer pedagogies come into play, and so many variety of things could happen.
Sure. Thank you, sir. That was, I think, a well focused answer. I think we have a last question, which is very interesting, and I think this is kind of a leading question.
Sure.
Somebody is asking, could you share a few books that we could refer to?
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There are a lot of books behind me. And
and people were asking what are these bottles and what are these books.
So I love to collect miniature liquor bottles. And I collect posters and crown caps and a lot of books. So I read a lot on diverse topics. I have shared few with Harshit already, and I'm sure Harshit will be able to pass it on to you guys.
Sure.
But I look at biology, physics, chemistry, at times maths, and then look at what others are trying to say and how does this reflect into other worldwide phenomena or universal phenomena, and how are they connected and what is the start point from them. Not everything is design, but a designer can gather ideas or approaches, reading, looking at stuff which is very diverse. So I always urge that you should not read too much about design. You should read about many other topics far more than design subjects, because design subjects you will eventually become a master at your university or school or college. But diverse topics is extremely important.
So Shekhar sir's reading list is that big and that diverse. So we have already decided and will soon announce a book reading session that's being planned. So we'll pick at least the top 10 books and a similar format, because each of the tenets or paradigms which sir just mentioned, I think they all require a more deep dive into each of them to understand it correctly. He himself has taken 7 to 10 years just to frame them. So I think some time deeper is required to understand that. So yeah, you'll hear from us soon, and we'll have a schedule of how the book reading and book related stuff and questions that you may have. We'll take them separately one-on-one and do a deep dive into each book.
It'll be super exciting. I'm really looking forward to these book reading series, because it will also give us a very different dialogue between typically designers. Otherwise, we'll keep talking about design. We don't talk about any other things that are super exciting for a designer. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks, Harshit and Priya.
Yes, sir.
You made me work and put this presentation together. Otherwise, there were scattered thoughts in my diaries and books and on my phone. But I think this effort has helped me document this in one place. I hope it made sense to all of you. It has given enough opportunities for you guys to think differently, challenge the status quo, look at newer possibilities, paradigms. Let's not... another thing, just before we conclude, is that I was just writing to somebody and I told them that what is this new normal phenomena? New normal is just the old normal that we want back, unfortunately. Nobody wants new. Everybody wants कि अरे जो 4 महीने पहले था वही हमारा new normal है.
Yeah, they want to
वही
be
दे
back.
दो वापस. We are happy to be back. It's so unfortunate that thinking minds are thinking like this, that we're not again questioning, awakened, looking at newer possibilities. So nostalgia is what we should look forward to, not nostalgia. Nostalgia is far more amazing. Speculative futures are superb. The future has to be built so that all of us are looking forward to going there and not sulking behind. So all the best, guys. All of you, thank you so much for coming and spending an hour with us. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful
Thank
effort.
you.
Thanks, Arshit. Thanks, MIT.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. So for more questions, do reach out to us offline on LinkedIn. A round of thanks to our participants for joining us today, and special thanks to our guest speaker, Shekhar Badre, for his time and the value-add takeaways from his journey. We encourage you to connect with us via our social channels to know more about the MIT ID Innovation Program and upcoming webinars and online courses. I'd like to invite you all to our next webinar on Monday, 22nd June. Our guest speaker is Mr. Sameer Dhanrajani, CEO and founder at Accurate, which is read as AI, short for Artificial Intelligence. It's a bespoke advisory and consulting firm. He's also the author of AI and Analytics, Accelerating Business Decisions. He will be sharing his insights on AI strategies for augmenting innovation. So please register in case you haven't yet. For those who are interested in enrolling for the one-year course, we have last few seats left for the second cohort of this prestigious program that will fast-track your career path. So log on to www.mitidinnovation.com to kickstart your innovation journey with a diverse set of co-innovators. Thank you once again, Shekhar, and thank you everybody for joining in. Stay connected, stay safe, and keep innovating every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.